welcome to Origins by the Esports Awards, where we interview some of your favorite content creators, pro athletes, and the people that make the cogs turn. I'm Morgan Tremaine, one of the producers here at the Esports Awards, and I'm joined today by someone who definitely keeps the cogs turning. Of course, I'm talking about the COO of T1 Esports, Josh Ahn. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. How is your Esports World Cup so far?
It's been good in terms of the experience of it. Our teams could have done a little bit better, but then we're still competing right now. So nervous and also excited right now.
I know that there's a lot of excitement definitely for the match today.
Yeah.
At the time of the recording of this, it's definitely been fun to watch so far, and T1 is always a fan favorite. So I know that the fans who came out are still very excited to be a part of this.
I think win or lose, we do make our games pretty interesting. So
that's a huge part of it. It really is. And we'll get into that later too, because it's like there's such an entertainment factor to watching T1 play as opposed to some of the other teams. And I say that even not to disparage any of the teams that have moved on, but it really is the most exciting to watch teams that make the game interesting, that play the game in an interesting way, that make it like it's fanfare. Really, it is.
Yeah. I mean, if we can make it boring and, come out on the winning end, I think we would prefer that. But then I think a lot of our team color kind of stems from how we as an org view things, view our game, view our business and everything. So it's just the way we are, and then we're just glad that we can offer something interesting to the fans. I
think you definitely offer something interesting to the fans. So just to give a little color here, and stop me when you get too embarrassed, but the most successful League of Legends team of all time.
Sure.
5-time world champions.
Correct.
2013, 2015, 2016, 2013, 2023, 2024. 2 MSI titles.
Correct.
And 10 LCK titles.
Correct. Yes.
And I have 2 questions based on that. One, what does the air taste like at the top of the mountain? Because you guys are definitely there. And then also, what does Faker smell like? Because I'm just really curious.
Faker smell like? Faker smells good. We worked out together yesterday.
Oh yeah.
So even after all the workout, all the sweat and stuff, he still, smells really good. So he must use, very, very good deodorant or, cologne. The air atop, I don't know. I mean, we were there. I guess, when you talk about our League of Legends team, we won Worlds last year, which was our 5th title.
Amazing viewership on that.
Very, very good viewership. It was very, very grueling. The competition was very, hard as well. So the viewership was good. Very tough for us too. I think, I don't know. The air is always, I would say, thin, because you don't get to stay there for a long time, So you have to prepare for the next, tournament right away. So yeah, the air, I don't know what it smells like, but it was very thin.
I mean, yeah, it makes sense. It's like you're always going. There's always something else going on. There's no real downtime off season. You're constantly going, and I'm sure especially as the COO of the company, it's like you're never not working on the next thing. You're never not working on the next project, because it is so much more than just an individual team, as an organization and as a business.
Right, because our flagship, I guess, game team is League of Legends, but then we do have 8 different teams right now, 7 of which made it to Esports World Cup. So it could be finished with our League of Legends team, but then there's some other teams competing at the at the time. So it's never ending, and at the same time, the business side of it never stops as well. So our players work very hard, but then our staff really works really hard as well.
Speaking of the business side of things, I think for most people looking at the business of esports, it's easy to look at it and think, well, it is just the teams, but there's so much ancillary things that come with that, like merchandising, like fan experiences, fan events, and then you expand that on a global scale, having to deal with it regionally, locally. What are the different, how do you approach, what does your year look like as far as we need to work on these different facets of T1?
So you have to plan ahead, as all orgs do, I think. And when it comes to business, you have to submit your business projections and proposals to the board ahead of time. So we plan things months in advance. For 2025, we submitted things obviously as late as December of 2024. So you do plan ahead, but then the nature of esports is pretty dynamic, and a lot of things pop up, and I think a lot of things happen at T1, around T1, mostly due to how dynamic the industry is, but also due to some of the mistakes that we make as well. So we do have to make do and then adjust to these makeshift situations.
Well, speaking of the dynamics of esports as an industry, I know we've experienced esports winters a few times, it feels like. Do you feel now, as someone who's looking at this in terms of projections, are we in an esports summer now?
It is summer here in Riyadh for sure.
I think it's always summer here.
It is very, very summer. Esports winter, people have been talking about that for quite some time. Are we out of the winter? I'm not too sure yet, but honestly, T1 as a business is doing pretty well, really well. We've been growing at robust paces the past couple of years. But then obviously we would prefer the summer because we need the other teams and organizations do as well as we do, so we can grow together. But I think looking at the industry as a whole, I think we're still at the tail end of the winter maybe, but T1 I think individually is doing really well right now.
I imagine it's difficult from a business perspective, thinking about how you can thrive and succeed year over year when really your business is almost entirely based on the success of the games that you're in as well. What are the challenges? And that might be an oversimplification of it, but how do you navigate the challenges of, is the game doing well versus how that affects where you pursue new games, you put more efforts into other areas versus the areas you've already heavily invested in. How do you navigate that?
When you mean game, do you mean the games as for example, the League of Legends game, is it doing well, in terms of the user numbers, or do you mean our League of Legends team doing well in those tournaments?
I mean the title itself.
The title itself. Yeah, a lot depends on, how, vibrant and lively the game itself is. And, thank God League of Legends is doing pretty well, but then there are other titles that we invest in as well. Valorant is another example.
Great esport, great spectator sport.
I love watching Valorant, and when it comes to Valorant, esports is still catching up to League of Legends, and it's doing really well in a lot of regions in Korea as well. I think the viewership is catching up to its playership because we run our own educational institute called T1 Esports Academy, and as of last year, we have more Valorant students than League of Legends students, and right now I think the ratio is 3-1, so we have 3 times more Valorant students than League of Legends students. So we wish, because I love League of Legends and Valorant too, but then I grew up watching actually StarCraft first, and then I saw the slow decline of it. But we have a pretty steady fan base of StarCraft in Korea. But I hope League of Legends doesn't ossify like that. I hope the game can maintain its longevity, and we want to contribute to it too. But we do put our eggs in different baskets too. So we invest in Valorant, we invest in PUBG, Overwatch, new game titles, Fatal Fury, and whatnot. So yeah.
So Fatal Fury, that's on your list now. Are there any other titles that are sort of you're looking at right now as far as maybe this, maybe that, maybe more in the mobile sector, maybe more this?
We do need to, I think, get into the mobile space. Mobile gaming isn't so big in Korea. I think we are still very, very much a PC game country. But we have fans in, for instance, Southeast Asia, which is a huge mobile game market.
Huge. Yeah.
So we've been, having our eyes on, for instance, MLBB or, some Chinese mobile game titles like, Honor of Kings. So we're carefully observing and thinking about our inroads into those titles.
You spoke about the academy and the education. How important is the education aspect to what T1 does?
Education is very important, and I think Korea tends to be very education-centric country, and perhaps a little bit too much. I think education can come with some not leisure, but then I grew up in the U.S. And I went to the U.S. after elementary school, so I tasted a bit of Korean education. And then from middle school and on, I was brought up in the U.S. So I don't know too much about Korean education, but looking at my Korean friends, looking at my friends' kids now, because I'm pretty old. Education is pretty hardcore in Korea, and that has translated to esports education as well. So we do take our education pretty seriously, but at the same time, it's not just about educating the next generation of gamers. We are investing in the future because, as I spoke earlier, we want to contribute to the longevity of games such as League of Legends, and I think the viewership is important, but then I think the player base is very important too. So by educating next generation of professional gamers, casual gamers, people who want to work in esports, we want to contribute to the ecosystem. So that's why education matters to us.
Well, speaking of the education, I forgive my ignorance because we don't do as much of that here. We're starting to catch up a little bit in the U.S. with that. But what does that actually entail? That sort of program?
I mean, we do learn quite a bit from the US as well. So I think we're learning from each other. As far as esports education goes, at T1, we do have 5 different types of courses. One is for professional gamers or people who want to become professional gamers. Another is people who want to play games and improve themselves casual gamers, and people who want to work in esports. It's a very popular course of ours as well. So people have taken that course to intern at T1 and then ended up working at T1 as well. So
I'm really happy for that. We need more people to realize that there's so many other careers that can be had in esports.
For sure.
There's a lot of positions you could be educated
for sure. And I want to touch upon that too. And the 4th type of classes for coaches, people who want to become coaches in esports, and people who want to go to colleges in the US and Korea through esports. And that's something that we're kind of learning from the US as well, because I believe in intramural sports or intramural esports. And I think if we can build esports from the school level, I think the foundation of the ecosystem of esports can be stronger. And that's something that the US has a long tradition of building and excelling. So we do learn from the US as well when it comes to different and various career options for esports players or esports industry workers. I do think is actually not as bad as people think. I don't know what people think, but then a lot of people think hey, if you retire at 25, what are you going to do afterwards? But surprisingly, there are a lot of options for esports players after they retire because, for instance, our Valorant coaches are from PUBG, but then you wouldn't see an ex-baseball player coaching a basketball team. Maybe there could be some cases. I know there's an NBA coach who came from soccer or football, but then
it's definitely not it's an exception,
it's not the norm.
rule.
It's an exception, and I think that's more common in esports. One of the great coaches of League of Legends, Danny, who used to coach at T1, he came from PUBG as well. So the cross title type of moves are pretty common, and then you have you don't have to be a coach only. You can be a streamer. You can work in esports. You can work at gaming publishers. So I think the career options are pretty various.
So you talk about learning from the U.S. and we've touched on the various regions that T1 is in. What is it from the business perspective? How do you approach the different regions as far as how you market T1, as far as how you compete, as far as how you make yourself present in those different areas? How do you approach that?
I think we mix up localization as well as sticking to our Korean roots. I think there's this guy called JYP who runs JYP, the namesake of the company himself. He's a K-pop, K-entertainment mogul, and I think he once said, I could be mistaken, but then he once, I believe, said, "What's the most Korean is the most global, or what's the most regional or local is the most global," because I think we live in an era where a lot of diversity is respected and appreciated. So that's what we do with our global fans as well. We want to bring to them a very Korean product or experience. At the same time, we need to localize it to cater to their tastes and stuff like that. So when it comes to China, the US, Europe, we bring a Korean product or Korean something, but then we localize it as well.
Makes a lot of sense. Smart business practice.
Pretty
To talk about that globally,
right,
in that sense, yeah. Well, we've talked about education and regional aspects to this. Your background in education is very interesting. Can you tell me a little bit about what you studied and why?
I don't know like how much you study, but then I grew up in a musical family, so I studied music. I was a voice major until high school, so I went to an art school in Boston or near Boston. But in my senior year, I realized that I wasn't good enough. I couldn't, put bread on the table for the family, by singing. So I pivoted and then studied economics and Russian studies in college because my dad is an economist, and my piano teacher in high school was Russian, and I wanted to pick that up for her. And in grad school, I studied Russian politics.
Interesting. So, sort of poli-sci and economics background. I'm sure all of that plays in probably daily into your work in certain capacities.
I guess
economics, especially.
Economics, especially Russian, not so much.
Maybe not so much the Russian.
Not so much. Yeah. I speak Russian. I would say like 3 to 4 times a year at airports, mostly.
I'm working on it right now. My girlfriend's Russian.
Oh, really? Oh, wow. Yeah. Молодец.
I'm trying, man. I'm
trying.
Yeah.
Russian is very, very difficult. But I think they do play roles in my daily work. But actually, my music background, the art school rehearsal process and everything plays a big role in my work, because I do believe in rehearsing. So whatever we do, we make mistakes, but then we try to minimize our mistakes by rehearsing as much as possible.
Interesting. So when we talk about T1 as far as it's gaming, but there's so many different business aspects to it. I feel like with your background, you probably could have gone into any type of business. What brought you to esports in particular?
So I grew up watching esports. I've been a T1 fan since 2004. So we've been around for more than 20 years. I grew up watching Boxer and all the great players from T1 playing StarCraft, StarCraft 2, and League of Legends and so on. So I've been an esports fan all my life. Not all my life, but the majority of my life. And when the opportunity came in 2019, that was when T1 spun off from SK Telecom T1 to be the T1 that is right now. I just wanted to seize the opportunity. So that's how it happened.
And so moving from the original role into the COO role, what is your day-to-day like? What changed there?
A lot has changed. I used to be a lot thinner than right now, believe it or not. But that's when the transition happened. That's when I gained a lot of weight from a lot of stress. A lot of people
stress eating,
stress eating, and also like just late night working.
Sure.
And when caffeine is not good enough, I had to resort to eating to stay awake. And a lot of just meetings, not so much drinking, but then just meetings over dinner, lunch. So I gained a lot of weight. So that is all that is to say, it was very stressful. Because I was previously sponsorships coordinator, and then became the director of our business department. And then suddenly the role change happened due to a mishap in our org. I don't know, like people would know, but then the previous CEO passed away, unfortunately. So I took on this role very, very abruptly. So the change was very sudden and it was stressful. And in terms of the nature of the work that changed, obviously you have to make more decisions. You have to make, decisions in many different facets, whereas before I only focused on business.
Interesting. So where do you see your role going in the future? Like, what are you looking at right now as your core focus of the T1 business?
Oh, gosh, that's a loaded question.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. But I think we at T1 are T1 fans at heart. So we want to see T1 flourish and become, one of the greatest, if not the greatest, esports orgs in the world. And for us, we still have a long way to go. So we want to take the necessary steps to, make it happen. Business-wise, we more or less turned profitable for the first time last year, but we want to keep it that way. So we'll have
That's quite an accomplishment for esports in general, honestly.
Some orgs have done it. We've done it for the first time last year. If you account for the accounting, I guess, calendar and stuff, maybe not, but then actually we turned profitable last year. But we do want to, keep staying profitable and then keep growing. And I think we want to build esports through T1 into something that's, steady in a good way, stable financially, and growing. So people working in the industry like yourself, myself, the players and the staff can flourish and, enjoy working.
Congratulations on being profitable. That really is like, you should get an award just for that, honestly.
Yeah.
But
thank you so much.
What do you think the T1 is doing right as opposed to other orgs right now that has allowed you to be in this position you are?
We do a lot of things, not so well. But then if there are some things that we did well, I think we have had a great history of winning thanks to our players and the coaches. And I think the staff had to be behind all those successes. So based on the legacy of winning, honestly, it's so much easier for us to build business on it, because it's very hard to build a business on a losing team.
Sure.
And no sports team or no esports team could build, any kind of business success on a losing, legacy. There are teams
hard to get fans excited. Yeah,
exactly. So I think the players and the coaches and the staff all contributed to the winning legacy that we have. And based on that, I think it was a little bit easier for us to build our merchandise business, our sponsorships business, our fan experience business, content, and all these things. I think the foundation was the success of the teams.
All right. Well, speaking of fan experiences, you had T1 Con. What was that like? What was the mentality going into that? What were you hoping to get out of that? And do you feel like that's going to be a big focus for T1?
So we've done 2 T1 cons, and T1 Con was a concept that we wanted to experiment. We wanted to see if we can bring a crowd of fans to an event that we put together. So in a way, it was an experiment that worked for us, and it was a build-up towards T1 Homeground, which is a regular thing now. We've done it once last year, and we brought elements from T1 Con into T1 Homeground. Basically, it's our home games, which is something that's not very, very prevalent in esports. Some regions do it, like the LPL in China. They have some teams have home stadiums even, and I think KC, Carmine Corp in France is doing a great job, and we're doing our version of it. So T1 Con was a concept experiment that worked for us, and what I mean by that is we wanted to see if we can bring fans to our event. Also, we wanted to see what excited the fans and what would satisfy them. And we wanted to see to what next step we can bring esports to. And, the culmination of it is T1 Homeground. We did it once last year at a 7,000 seat stadium, and we're doing it 3 times this year. Next week, actually, at a 13,000 seat venue. And we try to bring elements from sports, entertainment, and gaming, and that's where we see esports as. We see esports at the crossroads of entertainment, gaming, and sports. And you would see a lot of things from, for instance, K-pop. You have those light sticks. I don't know if you know, like you wave these sticks as you sing along your favorite artist songs. We brought light sticks, but then some people laugh at it, but then we brought in a vibration feature to the light stick to a lot of people's disagreements and criticisms, but then we wanted to bring that in, and we felt pretty confident about it because PlayStation, Xbox, those controllers have vibration, and we thought we could bring that from gaming into esports, and also the element, the entertainment feature of esports, so that like the light stick would vibrate and kind of like help you interact with the players in the game. So things like that. So T1Con laid the foundation for that, and I think the next iteration of it is T1 Homeground.
I honestly really like the haptic idea of that.
Yeah,
That's pretty smart.
come check it out.
I want to, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, generally speaking, like innovations like that, how much is innovation in your mind when making these decisions going into any facet of the business?
Innovation is obviously very important for any company. We take it very seriously too. For me, I think I try to hear my staff and the players more, because most of the ideas, most of the good ones come from them anyways. And I just, try to talk to them and pick and choose whatever ideas the staff and the players bring to me and bring to the management. So, and if you want to do anything new, we would like to innovate because I think we are one of the front runners in the industry, and we kind of need to pave the way for the other teams. And we do learn from the other orgs too, but then because of the positioning that we have in the industry right now, we do want to innovate and kind of pave the way.
I appreciate that, understanding that your position is paving the way, if anything, for everyone else in the industry. It's important to take that leadership position seriously, and it's nice to hear that from the org. Absolutely. So we talk about gaming, esports as entertainment, sports, gaming. It is the center of all of that, which is exactly the right way to look at it. Do you feel like there's a lot of people who, if you're not in it, feel like it's not that mainstream, it's still very niche, and I'll understand. I mean, a lot of it is like, if you can be a fan of sports, but it's mostly someone's a fan of the NBA, they're a fan of the MLB, they're a fan of the NFL. But then if you're a fan of esports, you could be a fan of StarCraft, League of Legends. It's all so wildly different that the barrier for entry is very, very high. What do you think esports needs to do as an industry in order to sort of break down these barriers and help make it more accessible?
Accessible. Obviously, there needs to be an education process, but it's not very difficult. We see a chessboard, in front of us right now, and when it comes to explaining, these new games to, for instance, like my parents or older generations, I kind of equate the games that we play to the game of chess or the game of Go, because at the end of the day, chess is in a way a game of war. And League of Legends is like a 5v5 battle. Valorant is exactly, like a battle. And all the other games out there, most of them that are, competitive esports, tend to emulate wars and battles. And I think,
like you have different roles.
Exactly.
Things are done in a specific order. You have chain of command.
Teamwork and, strategies to basically, beat your opponent. And I think the battle and war aspect of esports, which is not unique to esports, but then that's, very, very ingrained in human civilization, because like the chess is, ancient. The game of Go is ancient. So game has been around, forever, in my opinion. Then it will, continue to exist. But I think we at T1 tend to see life as a continuation of, wars and battles. So through esports, through our games, we want to show, how we, as human beings can fight these battles and wars. So if you kind of like explain esports and games in that sense, how it could be an example or case of wars and battles. I think the threshold for understanding games could be a little bit lower, but then obviously the technicalities could be a little bit harder for older people to understand or newbies to understand. So that's something that we all as an industry can work on.
Yeah, so you have to sort of meet halfway.
Yeah,
like we can get you this far. Yeah, but then you're going to have to learn a little bit to get you there.
For sure, and also I think understanding the game is very important, but then if you can bring people to the culture of it, it could be easier. You could kind of, ease their entry into esports, better in a way, because, I went to, when I grew up in Boston, I went to Fenway Park. Obviously I understood baseball, but then a lot of people went there without understanding the game of baseball at all. They went there for the culture. They went there to boo the Yankees, they went there to eat, peanuts and sing, post sixth inning, song, take me down to the ballpark. The culture of it is very important. And I think through T1 Homeground and through a lot of things that we do, we want to cultivate the culture of esports. And I think that's another way to bring people, over the threshold.
When you talk about baseball too, a lot of that is generational. It's passed on. Families go there together.
Yeah.
So it'd be nice to see esports definitely like be more in that realm at a certain point as it continues to age.
Right. So that would be ideal. We want to build esports into first a 3-generation, type of entertainment. I think we are pretty close to the 2-generation stage, but we need some time to build it into a 3-generation thing. That'll be a dream for me.
Gamers have kids. You need to have kids. We got to keep the fandom going.
I gotta have kids. I haven't had, any kids yet, so
a lot of late nights though. So
yeah.
All right, we're gonna do a few rapid fire ones here. One global esports market you think is underrated?
Yes or no?
What is one global market? Like pick a global
one
esports
global
market
esports
that you think
market
is underrated.
US?
US, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, NA Esports is NA Esports, yeah.
I think it's underrated.
I think that's fair.
I do learn from a lot of the orgs, but then I think, it's still underrated and, they can do better.
What's your favorite part of T1's global brand?
It's not so rapid anymore. I'm taking a long pause. But oh gosh. It's hard.
What's your favorite part of T1? What's the thing that you are most excited about?
I want to say bold mistakes. I don't know if it makes sense.
Bold mistakes, like mistakes you make because you took a big swing.
Yeah. And that, kind of ties into the innovation part. I think, in order to innovate, you need to make mistakes along the way. And I think that kind of speaks to the game style that we have as well. Our games tend to be exciting, as we spoke earlier about. And a lot of people in Korea especially say our games are kind of like circus because it's like so many ups and downs, right? But I think, some of it or a lot of it, stems from us valuing bold mistakes because we want to make those bold mistakes to, just like get to where we want to get to. I mean, we would like to be consistent in some ways, but then I think in order to innovate and in order to, in a way, kind of open the road for, the industry, we do need to make a lot of mistakes, and we want those mistakes to be bold.
As a businessman, that's the thing you're always trying to strike. It's like we got to maintain profitability. We got to keep the things that are working, but we need to keep expanding the business and try some things. So hopefully you've bought yourself enough maybe runway to be able to try some things without breaking the bank.
Just about, yeah.
That's great. I know you don't really get a day off, it sounds like, but what do you do in your time off? Like on your break day, what's the first thing you're doing?
I try to hang out with my family and friends. I think T1 is a very busy place, but from, top to the rank and file staff, we value family over anything. So I spend time with my family.
You talked about some late night food sessions. What's your guilty pleasure snack?
Guilty pleasure.
What are you munching on the entire night? Chocolate? You're a chocolate guy?
I just bought a lot of like these Dubai chocolate. It's
that's everywhere.
It was a fad in Korea, not so big anymore, but then a lot of my friends asked for it, so I bought a lot of them.
Awesome. Well, Josh Ahn, it has been amazing.
Thank you so much, Morgan.
It's been very insightful. Thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate you. Thank you all for being here. Be sure to check out for more Origins by Esports Awards. We'll be doing lots more coverage while we're here at the Esports World Cup, and we'll see you for the next broadcast. Thank you so much.